The second thing I'll say is that we are always a learning organization, and we will take steps to ensure that some of the feedback we've received regarding process and making sure that we provide sufficient time for deliberation. The final thing that I want to state just for the public is there is no assumption that the recommendations by the MEDC staff will be adopted. That's why they're posed as recommendations. With that, I want to move to the public comment portion of our meeting. I want to remind the public that there is a 3-minute time limit to all public comments, and we will provide a 5-second grace, but we will ask if you exceed the 3-minute time limit to complete your thought. With that, I will ask Caitlin to explain any further instructions prior to opening the public comment. Caitlin?
Thanks, Quentin. So we do have a few pre-registered public comments that I will go through first. For those wishing to make a public comment that did not pre-register, just please make sure that your mic is unmuted should you wish to make a comment, and I will go through in order of those unmuted after we address the pre-registered comments. To unmute your mic, if you're dialed in on the phone, please press *6. And if you are virtual, it's just that little microphone at the bottom of your screen there. So we did have 8 pre-registered public comments, and Quentin, I will start with those. So first I have Cynthia Roberson with a phone number ending in 9126. Cynthia, are you on the line? Okay. Next I had Dan Erickson with a phone number ending in 5334. Dan, are you on the line? Okay.
Yes, I am.
There you are. Go ahead with your public comment, sir.
Yep. Good morning. I am Dan Erickson, an owner of Hoffman Brothers. We are one of the largest Southwest Michigan contractors, and I'm excited to talk to you today about the importance of funding the Marshall Area Jobs Opportunity and Recreation Campus, known as Major Campus. This is an incredible opportunity for Marshall and the entire region. This $3.5 billion Blue Oval Battery Park will create 2,500 jobs. It will serve as a catalyst to create an infusion of millions of dollars to the local economy, and it helps small businesses like ours and many others in the community. The economic opportunity of the Ford project and other businesses that a major campus will mean higher property values, funding for police, fire, schools, and roads. This project is a long-term investment. And it's one that will create opportunities for young people who do not need to move away from the area. We need an influx of young people. I urge you to continue your support for this very important project, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Erickson. Next, I had a public comment ending in 5871. Phone number ending in 5871. Are you on the line? Okay. Next, I had Mr. Bob Ling, phone number ending in 0841. Bob, are you on the line?
Yes,
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead with your public comment.
I'm Bob Ling, and I'm a Marshall Township board member. Funding the Marshall Area Jobs Opportunity as a major campus. I've seen our community work to overcome many difficulties in the 73 years that I've lived in Marshall. The loss of thousands of jobs with the closure of State Farm, where I worked for 35 and a half years, and Eaton took a toll on the community. And we have a great opportunity. Ford's Blue Oval will create 2,500 jobs when it opens. Many new jobs in our community related to the construction already on site, and also businesses move in as a result of this. I have been proud to support supports Blue Oval Battery Park facility and major campus. I'm also proud to play a role in the economic development opportunity as been presented to our community. This funding is vitally important to complete the infrastructure for this project. I appreciate your continued support of this campus and everything it means to the Marshall community in southwestern Michigan. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Appreciate your comment. Next for pre-registered public comment, I had Sue Dameron with a phone number ending in 3624. Sue, are you on the line?
I am. Good morning. I'm Sue Dameron. I'm the president and CEO of Schuler's Restaurant and Pub in downtown Marshall. I'm on the call today to encourage you to make an important investment in Marshall area jobs, opportunity, and recreation campus. With your support, we'll have an incredible anchor for thousands of local jobs that benefit small businesses like Schuler's Restaurant. After seeing thousands of jobs leave Marshall with our community's loss of State Farm and Eaton, things are starting to feel different. As soon as Ford announced its Blue Oval Battery Park, Michigan facility in February, we immediately had customers coming into the restaurant. They were telling us that they had seen the news about the Ford project and it reminded them about Schuler's Restaurant in Marshall. It immediately had a positive impact on our business. It's exciting to know that thousands of local jobs are on the horizon. And this economic development isn't just about dollars and cents. It represents an incredible opportunity for us to add to our workforce at Schuler's. Many of the people who will be working the new jobs at Ford and other businesses will have spouses and children, and those additional community members will help our employee base. The types of jobs available at Ford and other advanced manufacturers will provide opportunities for young people growing up here. They will be able to stay in the state of Michigan and the Calhoun community and eventually raise their own families here. It's exciting to know that the major campus will have more opportunities for other businesses. Thank you for your time this morning, and thank you for considering this important investment.
Thank you very much, Sue. Next on the line for pre-registered public comment, we have Rebecca Jones with the phone number ending in 5196. Rebecca, are you on the line?
Yes. Good morning. I'm Rebecca Jones, the superintendent of Marshall Public Schools. As the Marshall Area Job Opportunity and Recreation Campus, also known as MAJOR, is developed, it will be home to many future businesses. We at Marshall Public Schools are taking steps towards creating new careers and training options that will allow our young people to continue to live and work right here in Marshall. Right now, our skilled trade programs is preparing students for good paying jobs that don't require a college degree. Marshall Public Schools is thrilled to be working right now with the Marshall Area Economic Development Alliance and our local business community to highlight many great job opportunities in the skilled trades. And those career options will continue to grow with the development of the MAJOR campus. With this committee's help, this campus will attract other advanced manufacturers and new businesses to the area. The good news for our future graduates is they won't be forced to move away to find good paying jobs. This site will be a magnet for billions of dollars of new capital investment in our region, which in turn provides funding for community services and our schools. Those things all work together to help improve our overall quality of life for our families, students, and neighbors. I asked the committee to keep the momentum going as this campus will be a game changer for our region and our entire state. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rebecca. Next, we have a pre-registered public comment from Michael Lowndes with a phone number ending in 8735. Michael, are you on the line?
I am.
Thank you, Michael. Go ahead with your public comment.
Yeah, hi, my name is Michael Lowndes. Excuse me, I've been a resident of Marshall for over 40 years, raised my family here. I have 3 diversified businesses here in downtown Marshall, the Bogart Theater, Trailblazers, and Paw Fitters. The idea of this Blue Oval plant coming to Marshall is exciting. It's needed. We have lost State Farm and Eaton over the years. So over my 40 plus years of living here, I've seen where You know, we had lots of business and things like that, good paying jobs, and we've lost some of those. It's exciting to see something like this coming back to our area. With the location being at 6994 like we are, we think it's an integral spot for the state. We claim as a country, we want these jobs to come back. As a state, we want these jobs to stay in Michigan. This is a perfect opportunity to advance forward, improve Marshall, improve the state. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Next for pre-registered public comment, we had Mark Benke with the phone number ending in 8022. Mark, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Good morning. I'm Mark Banky with the City of Battle Creek, and I also serve as the mayor of Battle Creek, Michigan. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about the exciting things we have happening in Southwest Michigan. The Blue Oval Battery Park and Marshall Area Jobs Opportunity and Recreation Campus, also known as Major Campus, are poised to be a catalyst for exciting economic development opportunities across the entire region. I'm a lifelong resident of this community, and I have served on the Battle Creek City Commission for over 30 years. I know how important the Ford project and the Major Campus is for Southwest Michigan. That's why I'm encouraging you to support funding needed to keep Ford's Blue Oval and the Major Campus on track to create thousands of local jobs. Over the past 20 years, we have seen thousands of jobs leave the region with the departures of the Eaton Corporation and State Farm. Now this campus and Ford's Blue Oval project provides the incredible opportunity to reverse those job losses. The Ford project will create 2,500 jobs, and additional businesses at the campus will mean even more local jobs. And that will mean the infusion of millions of dollars into the local economy. The city of Battle Creek is thrilled to have a role in this project by supplying the water for the Blue Oval facility. We support your continued support of this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Benke. That concludes pre-registered public comments. So if you have a public comment and you are on the line, please unmute now. And I will go in order. It looks like Glenn Kowalski is I'm just going in order here. Glenn, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Glenn Kowalski from Marshall Township. I'm speaking to the grant of an additional $65 million for the private corporation, Marshall Area Economic Development Alliance. It's interesting that now we're calling this the Major Campus, and I think a big part of that may be that the size of the campus continues to grow. It looks like future map planning now has it at least 3,000 acres. So that's very concerning to many of us as Marshall residents. Speaking to the job losses, I've lived here 37 years, and Marshall's never been more prosperous than it is today. When I moved here, we were in the midst of the 80s and economic downturns. So that's just not an accurate picture of where we stand today. But specifically, Ford has stopped work on the site. The site has been, to date, pretty much built around the Ford request. The land has been damaged to their specifications. So at this point, I would think it's irresponsible to continue to fund a site that's in question. It's also in litigation. So I would urge this body to hold back that funding. And in particular, I think lack of transparency continues to be an issue. Someone talked about water sources. We've FOIA'd Battle Creek. They will not tell us anything about the water source. The city of Marshall will not tell us. EGLE is not involved with the community. A large concern about fire protection. As you know, lithium battery fires are a large concern, and a plant this size could damage the area irreversibly forever. MDOT is not transparent. It looks like they're surveying to expand M96 by 3 times to the south, which would displace some current residents. So I would ask this group to rethink what they're doing, slow the process down, and become more transparent. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn, for your comments. Next, I see Jim Schwartz. Jim, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Jim Schwartz. I am the mayor of Marshall and also a resident for the past 13 plus years. And, you know, just happy to be here today to talk about our excitement with the Ford Blue Oval project, what jobs that will bring, opportunities to the major campus, and also recreation that's involved with this project. Your consideration today on this funding is an investment in Marshall and Southwest Michigan. This project is a winner for everyone. It will positively impact our area for generations. It will ensure young people here and their children in the future have even more opportunities than the previous generation had in Marshall. This is a development that will spark billions of dollars of investment for decades to come. It will create an infusion of millions of dollars to the local economy, helping our local small businesses, our stores, shops, restaurants, and schools. It's exciting to think that with this project, we are creating a new talent pipeline that will give young people the skills and the training they need to get good paying jobs that don't require a college degree. And it's wonderful to know that these opportunities will be right here so young people won't have to move away to find a good job. We're already seeing interest in those good paying jobs among our young people who are taking advantage of training programs at Marshall Public Schools and Kellogg Community College. I join others from the Marshall community today to ask that you keep this project and development of major campus on track by supporting the funding measure before you. Thank you for your time and appreciate the conversation we'll have on this matter.
Thank you, Jim. I see a few others here. Next, I see Greg Moore. Greg, go ahead.
Yes, good morning. My name is Greg Moore. I'm a lifelong resident of Calhoun County, and I'm speaking today as the chair of the Calhoun County Economic Development Corporation. And I'd like to express our organization's public support for the $65 million in SSRP funding to the Marshall Area Economic Development Alliance to continue and aid in the land acquisition, site prep, as well as sewer and water and transportation upgrades that are needed for this site. As others have said, and as you already know, this investment is supporting thousands of jobs in Southwest Michigan, certainly plenty more in the future. As an organization, we've seen communities and organizations across Calhoun County come together and to partner on infrastructure and programming in ways that we haven't seen in quite some time. And it's truly remarkable and heartwarming to see. We want to make sure that this infrastructure and these programs are developed in the most efficient and effective way possible to aid the entire region. I can tell you that I have the good fortune of working across Southwest Michigan in a number of different counties. And I can tell you that the entire region is excited about the opportunity to take advantage of this transformational investment that the Ford Blue Oval project is bringing. And so we just want to let you know that we appreciate the strategic fund's support and partnership to date on this project and helping to bring it to fruition. And we look forward to continuing to partner with you to ensure that the ribbon is cut on this once in a generation development. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate your comments. Next, I see Barry Wayne Adams. Barry, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
You can,
Hello?
Barry. Good morning. Go ahead with your public comment, sir.
Okay. I'm not one of the parrots of corporate fascism who is going to mindlessly recite the nonsensical rhetoric about how much of a better future this mega mess is going to bring. We're already seeing the damage. We're already seeing loss of wildlife habitat. The illusory memes of more and better jobs are not going to be played out. The the whole battery, electric battery technology scenario is suspect every way along the line. It is decidedly not a green system. It will not green the planet. It is greater in pollution. It has a higher carbon footprint than combustion vehicles. You got to drive an electric vehicle 800,000 miles before it starts being green, quote unquote green. But the problem is that the vehicles won't last longer than 100,000 miles. Everything about this has been a big hoax. It's putting money into the hands of certain people who are too busy patting themselves on the back to realize the real world damage that's going on to that precious prime farmland. I'm one of the people like Glenn Kowalski, who are the vast majority of the people in the Marshall and Marshall Township area who are against the mega site. And we want to overcome this propaganda barrage, trying to make people think that it's a done deal and it's all going to be happy chocolate after the mega site is up and running. We're seeing the damage now. People are upset in innumerable ways as to what's been going on. The gaslighting of the previous speakers who are connected with the project continues to this day. I mean, the mindless reading of a prepared speech. This is all bought and paid for. The founding fathers of this country did not envision a system of America being turned into a large matrix of corporate fascism. And that's what's happening with these front organizations who are funneling money to these private firms. All of this is in violation of Article 9, Section 18 of the Michigan Constitution, which prohibits the public funding of private enterprises.
Mr. Adams, we are over 3 minutes. We asked if you can complete the current thought, please.
All right. Well, the current thought could go on for 2 hours, but I'll just leave it at no corporate fascism. You're destroying the area. People don't like it. You're going to have an unrelenting opposition to this project for.
I'm unsure whether we lost Mr. Adams or not, but we thank you for your comments, sir. Caitlin, please continue with the public comments.
Thanks, Quentin, and thank you, Mr. Adams. Looks like I have Marjorie Steele next. Marjorie, go ahead with your public comment.
Thanks, Caitlin. I first just wanted to say that I think that the board should probably take it as a vote of no confidence for Ford Cattle that MEDA and the MCGO felt the need to send out so many of their goons to read pre-prepared lies to you this morning. My phone was blowing up yesterday in the wake of the news of Ford's halting the construction with residents of Marshall who were absolutely ecstatic beyond words. Excitement and celebration, I think, would describe the general vibe of Marshall residents last night when they heard the news that Ford Cattle had been paused. Since Mr. Messer mentioned that this is a learning group, I've actually recently been doing a little bit of research, and I wanted to present a little bit of data of my own to you briefly here. I've been compiling up the water usage of these mega sites, those that are proposed and those that are currently in existence. Now, because very little information has been provided about these, I've had to benchmark a lot of it. So to rattle through these very briefly, with our EV mega sites, we've got Big Rapids, Marshall, Shiawassee County, Van Buren, and Holland. Now, those last two are expansions. We're looking at about 715,000 gallons of water per day per plant, with those expansions possibly being much more than that. For semiconductor campuses, we're looking at an average of 11.65 million gallons of water per day. Eagle Township and Mundy Township are slated to have semiconductor campuses, although with Mundy, we've been hearing figures as high as 90 million gallons of water per day. We also have hemlock currently in production and ready to be expanded. We have MI potash that has permits from Eagle for 2 million gallons of water per day. And of course, Nestle is currently taking a little over 400,000 gallons of water per day for a grand total of 48.6 million gallons of water per day that has not been studied, the impact of which has not been studied. Furthermore, there's another 50 million gallons of water per day being taken from Lake Superior for industrial usage. The idea that this amount of water can be removed from our aquifers and from our Great Lakes, and this amount of toxicity pumped back into it without any impact studies being performed whatsoever is insulting, it is unscientific, and we, the residents of Michigan, absolutely will not stand for it. You will face endless opposition to these projects until we shut them down or until we shut you, the MEDC, down. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Steele. Are there any others on the line wishing to make public comment? Please unmute at this time. I see Brandy.
Yes. I would just like to start by saying that these battery plants are not an opportunity. They are a mandate. So therefore, everybody might want to really look around and look at every other mandate in the world and how that's played out for everybody. The MEDC, their last meeting, they're going, you guys all are going as far as starting a campaign for technology coming to Michigan. Instead of focusing on our natural nature, which is real green, clean energy, you guys are now brainwashing and manipulating and spending more campaign money to, like I said, only brainwash Michiganders into thinking technology when it comes to Michigan. That is not what we are known for. These battery plants are toxic. There is no EIS, environmental impact statements, to come along with any of these. They are all being built close to rivers and waterways that will destroy Michigan for what we're known for. It's time to really think here and not allot any more money when they're talking about great job opportunities. The UAW is on strike because of all of these automotive jobs are clearly not that great. We want our children to be forced into a toxic job. Look at Altium Cells battery plant. They have over 20 different, in just the first 2023 incidents, electrocution spills, air quality issues. There's things all across the board and nothing is happening there. And you guys just want to come here and build more. How does that make sense? It does not. We will continue to fight this every step of the way. I am from Green Charter Township, where Goshen is said to be built on top of wetlands that are supposed to be protected. There is no working with Eagle yet. There is no nothing. They're out here saying that they're looking to hire people, starting to hire jobs, starting to do these things, and they haven't even passed any permitting through Eagle. How is that okay? You guys can't answer questions here. You guys never answer us questions. There is no transparency. There is no honesty. It's just like the other man said, rhetoric to make brainwashing us to have to live this way. The superintendent from that school, why don't they start to think about sustainability for our children? Teach them to grow, teach them to preserve the world. We need to plant more trees, grow things, and that's green, clean energy. And Michigan is known for its nature. It's not known for technology, and it's not gonna be. Sorry. And that's all I have to say today.
Thank you, Brandy, for your comment. Mr. Watson, I see your hand raised there. Go ahead.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
You can, yes, sir. Go ahead with your comment.
Perfect, thank you. I'm Dr. Paul Watson, the president of Cal Community College in Battle Creek. I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you with regards to the importance of preparing this opportunity to be the future home for Ford's Blue Oval Battery Park and the impact of businesses in the future. I'm really proud of the work that we do here at KCC. What we do is we do our best to prepare individuals for good jobs in the skilled trades and beyond for transfer. Actually, moments ago, I was with our friends from Davenport University, standing a seamless transition opportunity for our students to go to that institution. What we pride ourselves on is really the work that we do across three counties, Branch, Barry, and Calhoun. And really, it's about preparation for the work that ends up in the spaces that we serve. Close to Marshall, we do have a site at the Eastern Academic Center that has approximately a 1,300 square foot welding lab, as well as a 900 square foot electrical and mechatronics lab. Facilities like that really speak to the hands-on experience students can get at our institution for good paying jobs as electricians, welders, maintenance techs, just to name a few. Opportunities like the site that's being discussed and being supported at this point really do assist our students in moving forth with regards to economic empowerment. It's encouraging, frankly, for us that we know our programs are preparing individuals, both young adults, 17, 18, as well as adult learners. Our average age of our students are 25 to 28. And what that does is it enables them to find jobs right here in the community so they don't have to move away to find jobs and opportunities. We have had students at this point come to us telling us how excited they are about the opportunities coming to the Marshall area. We have a wait list. We've had modules being created at our Regional Manufacturing Training Center that really help to address that need that we see forthcoming. Many of our students are looking forward to the ability to work and live, whether at the site or the resulting businesses that will emerge from that. And what at this point that we look for is this once in a generation opportunity to really bring manufacturing as well as the resultant industries back to the area to really spark investment and continue the economic empowerment within this local community. We look forward to just hearing from you today. Thank you for your time, and I respectfully ask that you continue your support of this project because of what it will do for the constituents that we serve, again, in Branch, Barry, and Calhoun. And I thank you once again for the time.
Thank you, Dr. Watson, for your comments. Any others on the line? I see a phone number ending in 2018 that's unmuted. Did you have a public comment? All right. Are there any others on the line wishing to make public comment? Okay, and just checking here in the room. Anyone in the room that has public comment? All right, Quentin, that concludes public comment.
Thank you very much, Caitlin. Thank you, members of the public, for your comments. Caitlin, are there any communications to the board at this time?
Communications were received and shared with the board on Friday, September 22nd.
Thank you, Caitlin. Board members, are there any additional comments regarding the communications that have been received or were received? Hearing none, we will hear subcommittee reports. First, the Finance and Investment Subcommittee. Mr. Hutchison, are there any readouts from the Finance and Investment Subcommittee you would like to share?
We had some really good discussions on the SSBI deals that are in pending status, and some good discussions, and we're moving in a positive way on those. And I think at some point in the next month, we'll be presenting some things. So that would be the only updates that I'd report out on, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hutchison, for that readout.
Yes, sir.
We will next go to the Policy and Planning Subcommittee. Ms. Warner, are there any readouts from the Policy and Planning Subcommittee you would like to share?
Not at this time, Director Messer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Warner. We will now move to voice votes. To ensure continuity within a hybrid meeting setting, I would like to ask you to identify yourself before offering a motion. Additionally, Caitlin will conduct a roll call for each vote. At the prerogative of the chair, I'm going to move the attract, retain, and grow business items the Strategic Site Readiness Program Grant, SSRP, to the Marshall Area Economic Development Alliance, and then the Strategic Site Readiness Program grants to Prosperity Region Economic Development Organizations to the front of the agenda, and then we will go to the consent agenda. With that, I will now go to the Strategic Site Readiness Program Grant, SSRP, to the Marshall Area Economic Development Alliance. We will now welcome Josh Hunt, Executive Vice President, Strategic Accounts and Chief Projects Officer, to present on the next two items. First, he will present on a resolution to approve a Strategic Site Readiness Program Grant, SSRP, to the Marshall Area Economic Development Alliance. Before Josh provides his presentation, I just want to say one word about the temporary pause by Ford at the Marshall site. We fully expect that Ford will continue to develop Blue Oval Battery Park Michigan site, and we need to allow the Ford Motor Company and the UAW to continue their negotiations. Further, I would like to also provide MEDC's statement on the news. We are staying the course to secure our position as the global leader in mobility and highly advanced manufacturing on our strategic site in Marshall. We will continue working closely with our partners in the community as Team Michigan moves forward on developing a world-class site that creates good paying jobs, brings supply chains home to Michigan, enables us to compete to make more in Michigan. I should note that the vote today is really to ensure that there is non-Ford land at the Marshall site that is developed as we continue to attract interest from suppliers seeking to co-locate there. I want to note that this supplier's interest is exactly what we hope to accomplish when we announce Blue Oval Battery Park, Michigan, as we seek to maximize private investment and indirect and induce job growth in Marshall as well in other places across both peninsulas. With that, I will turn it over to Josh for his presentation. Josh, please take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Messer, and thank you, members of the board, for the opportunity to be with all of you today. As Mr. Messer outlined, I am presenting a request for assistance for site readiness activities to support land acquisition and infrastructure activities at the mega site in the city and township of Marshall in Calhoun County. I'm joined today by Jim Durian, the President and CEO of the Marshall Area Economic Development Alliance, as well as their legal counsel, Richard Lindsay. We are requesting $65 million in the form of a grant to the Marshall Area Economic Development Alliance from the Strategic Site Readiness Program that will be used for land acquisition, site studies and preparation, water and wastewater upgrades, road enhancements, professional fees, and other public infrastructure related improvements. It is important to note and reiterate Mr. Messer's point that these funds being requested are not directly connected to the Ford Blue Oval project. This request is for the remaining portions of the site to continue to bolster Michigan's competitiveness in attracting and growing other potential suppliers and businesses to the area, as well as additional business growth opportunities at the site. For context, this is a overall approximately 1,900 acre site. Ford is utilizing approximately 745 acres of the site, with 245 acres set aside for a conservation easement. Primarily, this site is bisected by 13 Mile Road, and primarily Ford is covering the land east of 14 Mile Road. This support today will be supporting the future needs on the approximately 800 acres of land that is remaining for attracting the supplier park.
Josh, can you hold on for a
Yes.
second? Mr. Quinn, Randy Thielen needs to recuse himself on this project. I just checked the participants, and it appears he's still on the call.
Yes, so, hold on, Kevin, I believe that we are speaking with council here. Randy, board member Thalen has no connection with this item. He will recuse himself from the Strategic Site Readiness Program grants to Prosperity Region Economic Development Organization, as well as the consent agenda, but he is permitted to consider this particular SSRP to the Marshall Area Economic Development Alliance.
Okay, I must have identified the wrong project that was being discussed. My mistake. Sorry for the interruption.
No worries. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So just reiterating here that this is for the remaining portions of this mega site that are not connected to the Ford project to continue to build out the supplier park. These infrastructure improvements, as well as purchasing land as option terms run out, are important to ensuring that we are able to continue the development of this overall site to continue to grow this opportunity. Renegotiating the terms of those options after expiration could cost the state millions of dollars. The MEDC and the Marshall Area Economic Development Alliance have been working closely to develop this site for several years, and the site remains the most advanced large-scale site in Michigan in a highly competitive market for sites across the country. Funding the land assemblage and infrastructure improvements now reduces long-term costs, creates a more attractive site for business attraction and expansion opportunities, and continues to support the overall goal of Michigan leading in the advanced manufacturing and mobility sectors. At this point, I'd like to turn over to Mr. Lindsay to discuss a little bit of detail about the options as well as the competitive bid process for water and wastewater upgrades in a little bit more detail. Mr. Lindsay, I will turn it over to you.
And I'm actually going to defer to Jim Durian, who's the CEO of MEDC, and then I will assist him as needed.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Josh, thanks. Thanks for inviting us. So on the competitive bid process, MEDC conducted an open and transparent competitive bid process to identify that it's the lead contractor for the water wastewater work. So we use what's known as the CMAR process, which stands for Construction Manager at Risk. This is a collaborative, deliberate delivery approach. It brings together various partners to complete the project. We did a request for an expression of interest that was posted in April, and that was followed by an RFP posted in June. And it was posted on what's called the MIBA platform. So that's the Michigan Infrastructure and Transportation Association. So that's a list of 500 or more of the transportation and construction contractors. And we also posted it on the Choose Marshall website. The selection committee scored the proposals in July, and we narrowed the bidders down to 3. We interviewed the top candidates in August and then made our selection in September, just a couple of weeks ago. The selection committee included leadership from the city of Marshall, the city of Battle Creek, Emmett Township, Marshall Township, and Calhoun County. We selected Granger and Hoffman Brothers as the general contractors for the water wastewater work. They had the best proposal, they did the best on the interviews, and they are local and regional companies. So we're looking forward to working with them to complete the build out of the site. And then on the additional land acquisition, we need to acquire additional properties to complete the build out of the site. Again, this includes the water, wastewater, and road upgrades with MDOT. So this is bringing, the roads and the water, wastewater to the overall site. With all these properties, we have option agreements with existing landowners that have been paid out through the end of the year. The funding, today's funding would allow us to purchase all of these properties needed to complete the overall infrastructure work for the entire site. And is there anything I'm missing?
No, I think that covers it. Did I answer any questions?
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Durian. Thank you, Mr. Lindsay. We appreciate that. And just in summary here, we are requesting a $65 million grant for this land acquisition and infrastructure improvements from the Strategic Site Readiness Program to continue to boost the opportunity for future business attraction and expansion opportunities on the site. Thank you again, Mr. Messer, and members of the board. I will now turn it back to you, Mr. Messer.
Thanks very much, Josh and Mr. Durham and Mr. Lindsay. Okay. Are there any questions from the board?
Yeah, hey Josh, are there, so can you just clarify the option agreements and their expirations, please?
Yeah, so I can start with that and then turn it over to Mr. Durian, Mr. Lindsay to talk in more detail. But we have option agreements on all necessary parcels across the site. Some of those option agreements, all of those option agreements are on different schedules in terms of when the expiration takes place, and both in terms of timelines for the project and timeline for expiration of those options. It's necessary to continue to move forward now based on the timing of this grant request. So with that, Mr. Lindsay and Mr. Durian, I'll turn over to you to add additional context to that.
Josh, I think you stated that exactly right. I would add that there are a number of parcels that are going to be necessary for water and sewer infrastructure that serve the major campus. Also, that will be part of the MDOT road expansion, and so that there's a need to purchase those. But all of the parcels relate to the major campuses, so it's to fill out that campus. And basically, this was a process over about 3 years to acquire all these options. So they're at different, locations in their time period. We've got a few that are only have a year left. We've got some that are 2 years, and some, that were signed within, say, the last 6 months or so, as the Ford project started to develop. But these are all related to building out this campus. And again, what we've seen locally already is a lot of excitement for the opportunity to build this additional area of the campus out because of its close proximity to the Ford project. So very excited to see this move forward.
Yeah, let me, and maybe I wasn't clear. Let me ask again. What is the option? What is the first option agreement that you have in front of you, and when will it expire?
So we've extended the options already through the end of the year. So starting in the beginning of January of 2024, there are approximately 30 that will expire in that next January, February time frame.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Durian, is there ability to extend those options further?
Yes.
There is the ability to renew them depending on when the options are generally 2 to 3 year options. They're all, each one's a little bit different. But yes, with many of them, there's an opportunity to renew, but not necessarily all. I'd have to look through all of them.
Right. Just for instance, there is an option for a property that's along Michigan Avenue that's necessary for water, for MDOT, your campus, that expires at the end of this year. So I mean, there are a number of different dates because they were negotiated again over a 3-year period.
Does that make sense with the possible delay in the Ford project, depending on what other businesses are interested to extend those options and not spend upfront funds before we know projects are moving forward?
Yeah, I can give I can answer that initially, and then Mr. Durian or Mr. Lindsay can add additional context onto this. Overall, based on the strategic plan that was set forth for the site readiness program and site activities as required by the statute for this, it was important that we handled these sites in two different ways. First was for projects where there was an identified end user, and that's what we already have done on the Ford Blue Oval project, as well as what we've done on other projects under this program. This site continues to be a premier site in Michigan in terms of its opportunity for future development, and in the competitive market that we are in for these types of projects and development on these types of sites. It's important that we take steps as well for the second goal of this program of taking proactive action to move forward on these sites and have the most ready site possible. And so that's why, as we continue to build out the attractiveness of this site for supplier park and other business investment, continuing to add on to the attractiveness through land assemblage and infrastructure enhancements is critical to Michigan continuing to win future growth in this space.
Josh, can you talk a little bit? It seemed like the Blue Oval site was supposed to spur additional business around it. Can you talk a little bit more about that, the need for this 65 million on top of our investment in the Blue Oval site, and the need for that versus having that investment in the Blue Oval drive the suppliers and businesses there without need for additional subsidy?
Yeah, I think there is a multifaceted approach and multifaceted impact that these types of projects have in terms of the Ford Blue Oval project. We heard in the public comment about some of the community-based activity in terms of the additional support and growth that's already happening on the main street of Marshall, and what we see for the important way that place is coming into play in the growth of the community. We're also seeing continued investment in people in terms of students and other young residents of the area, and residents of all ages taking advantage of the educational opportunities to be ready for the jobs at that site. And then in terms of the projects aspect, we are seeing multiple ways that this project will bring growth to the community. First, there is a significant spinoff that will occur throughout the Calhoun County area and more broadly across Michigan as the supply chain impact grows here in this state. And that will happen as a result of this investment by the company. But there will also still be projects that are competitive that could locate at or near other facilities that this company or other companies have as a part of the supply chain. And by having this land ready for development continues to give Michigan a competitive position to secure that type of business expansion opportunity in key components of the supply chain.
Yeah, the only thing I would, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, James.
The only thing I would add to that is that we actually need some of these parcels to complete the water, wastewater work. And then also when site selectors come and look at the site, they always will question, you have an option. What does that mean? Well, when does that occur? And it just creates a kind of competitive disadvantage when we have an option versus a purchase. But I would just reiterate that we do need it to actually complete. We need many of the parcels to complete the water, wastewater, and the MDOT work.
What are our performance-based metrics to ensure the funds are being used and perhaps fall back any if they're not being used to our requirements? 65 million is a large upfront cost. How are we ensuring that this is not a build it and they will come and this property sits vacant for a number of years and it's not a good use of the timing of the funds?
Yeah, so there will be a grant agreement put in place between the MSF and the Marshall Area Economic Development Alliance that will be based on milestones that are put in place as investment is occurring in the infrastructure and land assembly outlines, as well as it being based on a proposed budget that has been put in place to cover those specific costs and uses. All agreements that we have under this program and other programs contain clawback provisions in place to ensure that the money is being spent on the specific activities as outlined in this resolution and the forthcoming grant agreement.
I would add as well that each of the deeds for each of the properties has a clawback provision in it that if we don't meet the terms of the grant requirement, it goes back to the MEDC. The MEDC and the MSF monitor all expenditures of money. It's very tightly controlled, very detailed grant agreement that sets forth exactly what we can do and when.
Some of the speakers mentioned environmental concerns, utility concerns. Josh, can we speak to some of that and what we're doing to ensure environmental quality controls and proper utility usage?
Yeah, it's an important question, and it's something that we recognize the need as we continue to work to grow our economy, that we protect our most precious resource of the water that we have here in the state, as well as the overall environment. The team at the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy has been at the table, and this project, both the Ford Blue Oval project as well as any other project to locate at this site or any other projects that we're working on in the state, will continue to be subject to local, state, and federal permitting requirements as we work to ensure that we grow the economy in the most sustainable, environmentally friendly way.
Josh, can you talk a little bit about the overall use, the percentage of the use of the site readiness program funds? It's a pretty high percentage of funds being used on this site. Opportunity wise, are there other sites that are ready that could use these funds, or is this the best use of the funds at this time?
So we are requesting $65 million from the fund for this project, specifically because of the opportunity that this has in terms of the collaborative work that's been in place to make this Michigan's most advanced large-scale site, and a site that continues to be attractive in a competitive market across the country as other states are working to do the same thing, and frankly other provinces and countries around the world are doing as well. So this investment we view at this point as the best opportunity to grow the state through business attraction and expansion opportunities in this automotive and mobility space. I would add that this is all coming out of a $250 million addition to the Strategic Site Readiness Program that was approved over the course of the summer. The next agenda item that I know we'll talk about coming up is a separate component of that continues to ensure that we're not only investing in our mega sites, but that we are investing in all 10 regions of the state across both peninsulas to support grants for local and regional economic development organizations for those smaller, what we call strategic sites as well, to make sure that we're building out the supply chain in all areas of the state. And so this is a component to that overall strategy and the overall use of funds.
Is there a timing for that $250 million? Does that go away, or what's the period for that fund?
It is our intention to utilize that fund over the course of the near term to make sure that we continue to develop our site readiness inventory overall on this. And so that's why we brought the $65 million request here today, and separately the $25 million request for the strategic sites.
Randy, jump in here.
Yeah, thank you, Josh, and to the Marshall team for answering these questions, and to Mr. Durian, thank you for the discussion on the bid process for the infrastructure. That was helpful. Two questions. One, how long has the Marshall area contemplated this site for large-scale development? And then second, there was some comments and questions. Dan touched on this with the utilities, but there are comments and questions regarding water usage. How will this site be served from a water perspective? What's the capability to provide that service?
Yep, so I can start on this, and then Mr. Durian and Mr. Lindsay can add to it as well. There's been significant activity between the Marshall Area Economic Development Alliance and the MEDC for several years, and continuing to make this a more competitive site. But this specific area of land that we're talking about goes all the way back to the 1960s in terms of that being the first time that portions of this land were zoned industrial. Over the course from 2006 to the present, we've seen 425 agreements and other activity and partnership take place between the township, the county, the city, and the MEDC to continue to build the overall attractiveness of the site. So it's also a testament to the long-term and pragmatic, proactive nature of what site readiness requires, that it takes time to properly invest and plan for future opportunities over that long-term process and partnership. Mr. Durian and Mr. Lindsay, add anything you'd like to on to that component, as well as to Mr. Thalen's question about the water and other utilities.
Well, Mr. Lindsay is a lifelong resident of Marshall, so I think he can give a little feedback on how long this site has been contemplated.
Yeah, I just, so I'm third generation Marshall resident. And as Josh stated, this goes back into the early 60s, late 50s. This property's been called at a couple of different things over the years, but it's been known as the Gerholtz property for most of my life. And it was bought by Cirrus in the early 2000s, specifically for an investment. And I like to tell people my mom was a 3-term township supervisor in Marengo Township dating back into the 80s. And this was always the site where we expected this kind of development to happen. It's got access to 2 highways. It's got access to water and sewer. It's got access to rail. Unique site in the state of Michigan. I would argue unique site in the Midwest. And again, as Josh stated, about 5 years ago, we started to work very closely with the MEDC and actually got options on 3 of the large parcels. And then about 2 years after that, increased that cooperation with MEDC, and it's been very positive. And we are, again, part of why we need this money now is we are a fair piece ahead of the other sites, and that's where we're at.
And then I'm sorry, the question on water service.
Yeah.
How do you intend to serve that site? What is that?
Yeah, through a partnership with Battle Creek, we're able to provide the water and wastewater to the site. So there is capacity, beyond that, but it's a partnership with Battle Creek.
And Jim, do they have capacity today? Are they expanding the plant? Have they had capacity as the cereal industry has declined? I mean, what's that water capacity today?
They do have capacity, but we're also they're upgrading the Verona facility that provides water, and then there'll be additional upgrades on the Marshall side as well. That's included in the water wastewater funding.
Randy, are you good? I think I see Ms. Warner's hands raised. Mr. Myring, are you good? Before we go to Ms. Warner.
Just wanted to follow up on the utility. Can you add to any comments around phasing? Is it potential to phase the utility infrastructure so all the funds aren't used up front, but phase it as demand requires?
Josh, James, or Mr. Lindsay, can you comment upon Mr. Myring's question?
I'm going to say no to that. So Granger Hoffman will be bringing the water wastewater work infrastructure to the site, and so there's a timeline and milestones and schedule built into that. doing phasing. I'm not sure that's a practical solution.
And I would go back to Jim's comments before. As we've met with site selectors and with companies, the question they always ask is how quickly you can get utilities to the site. And again, so we've done some pre-work, like, you know, looking at what easements and whatnot could be, but bottom line is you got to put the pipe in to be able to do it. And so that, you know, they're looking at from the date they pull the trigger when they can have product going out the door. And this utilities piece is absolutely essential. And I think it puts us to have this entire major campus have sewer and water, puts us way ahead of the game with everybody else. And I mean, like, not Michigan, I mean, United States ahead of the game.
Land acquisition cost, how is that determined? Do we believe that's market rate cost for the acreage?
It's not market rate, it's negotiated over time, and it went up as, you know, announcements were made, you know, by Ford and as we were going forward. It's what we are left with in the state of Michigan with the way the law stands. We have to acquire property through a purchase process, not condemnation.
And the purchase price is built into the option agreements.
Yeah, and I would add that's one of the areas where ensuring that we don't allow these options to expire is important, because frankly, we think the cost would only go up if we let those expire, and there would be a cost to the state to acquire those after an expired option agreement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Warner, please.
Yeah, Josh, a couple of quick questions. We heard obviously a lot of concerns about utilities, and I think we've gotten many of those answered. But one of the concerns that I heard from speakers was that the site is in litigation. Is that accurate?
Mr. Lindsay, can you answer that question?
Yes. So after the zoning was changed in May, there was an attempt to ask for a referendum by a group of citizens. And when that was refused by the city, because there was an appropriation that was put into the zoning ordinance when it was modified, they filed a lawsuit. About a week ago, the judge dismissed counts 1, 2, and 3 of that lawsuit based on our motions for summary disposition to terminate the lawsuit. They had an opportunity to amend the lawsuit, and they presumably are going to do that. As things stand right now, there's nothing that stops this from going forward. It is my opinion, and obviously I'm, you know, appearing as one of the attorneys representing MEDC, that there's nothing stopping this from going forward. And, you know, there is a lawsuit. It will work through the process. We think that it's governed by a case dealing with MGM Grand in the city of Detroit, and they had an almost identical city or ordinance in that situation. And in that case, the Supreme Court said that they were allowed to go forward, and that the referendum was not proper because there wasn't an appropriation that was put into the ordinance. Again, Supreme Court case, it's right on point. We think it's defines the facts and the situation here. I will say, as an attorney, until the Supreme Court rules, I can't tell you anything beyond that, but we think it's very solid and no reason not to go forward.
And was that initial filing for an injunction to stop any construction? And it was in those counts that you're talking about that were dismissed, were they injunctions that did not get put into place?
I would say that's correct. I could explain it in a lot more detail, but I'm not sure I would do anything other than confuse the situation. But basically, there is the city charter of Marshall says that if you file for a referendum and there's not an appropriation, then it's stopped until you have the election. And so that was the issue they put in front of the judge. They asked for that in a preliminary injunction, and the judge said no. And then they later we filed a motion to dismiss the case, and he agreed with us a second time on that. And that issue is what I'm saying is almost identical. I would say identical to what happened with the city of Detroit in this MGM case. And again, there's not anything pending that's going to stop this right now. And actually, this work is related to infrastructure that's off the Ford site. And so that lawsuit's got absolutely nothing to do with this. This work needs to be done. Yeah, it needs to be done either way.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Warner. Board members, are there any additional questions? Hearing no additional questions, a motion is needed to conduct a roll call vote. I will make a motion to approve a motion by Messer. Is there a second?
Richardson seconds the motion.
We have a motion by Messer, a second by Richardson to approve the request. Caitlin, please conduct a roll call vote.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to just have some debate.
Sure.
I just want to express concern for the moving forward with the timing of this when the anchor tenant of Ford is looking to pull back at the site. And, you know, with the belief that they were supposed to spur development, just the investment timing seems like it would make sense to take a pause and make sure they're moving forward. And just with the consideration that we want to use the $250 million fund in the best way possible. And if it turns out that there is a better, you know, use of those funds at a different site, it would give us the flexibility to do that. And, you know, with the understanding that we can, you know, perhaps extend these options to firm up the strategy at the site. So I just wanted to express that concern on the timing of the investment.
No, it certainly makes sense. And my comment is what I said before. I believe that this pause is temporary. And we expect that as negotiations continue between Ford and the UAW and the UAW and the other big three. But I think a couple of things that I just want to make sure that I highlight in what Josh and Jim Durian and Attorney Lindsay mentioned with regard to this project are the other support here. The opportunity here before us is to support infrastructure development that is independent of Ford. I can tell you that even up until earlier this week, we have gotten inquiries for companies that not only were looking at co-locating with Ford, but if in the highly unlikely chance Ford was not to continue, they would have sufficient wherewithal to continue on this site across a number of different industry verticals. I think that the risk of this potentially being something that will be dormant is highly unlikely. I think we talked a little bit about the competitive set. You can look at a close to 2,100, someone will have to fact check me, site in Indiana. I think there are significant other large sites that have been developed elsewhere across the Midwest and in the Southeast. I think we need to make sure that we're ready and make sure that our sites are not an impediment to us competing for these opportunities. But certainly, Mr. Maring, I certainly understand your point, but I think the risk is minimal given what we see elsewhere in our pipeline.
Thank you.
Other discussion, please. Hearing no other discussion, we have a motion by Messer, a second by Richardson to approve the request. Caitlin, please conduct a roll call vote.
Dr. Fulter-Kane,
Yes.
Director Corbin,
Yes.
Mr. Eklund,
No.
Treasurer Eubanks,
Yes.
Mr. Hutcherson,
Yes.
Mr. Cap,
Yeah.
Mr. Messer,
Yes.
Mr. Meyering,
Yes.
Mr. Richardson,
Yes.
Mr. Rothstein,
Yes.
Mr. Thalen,
Yes.
Ms. Warner.
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes the vote.
Thank you, Caitlin. The motion passes and the recommendation is adopted. I will now cue Board Member Thalen to drop from the call. He is recused for the next two items of business. We'll now go to the Strategic Site Readiness Program grants to Prosperity Region Economic Development Organizations. Josh Hunt will return to present on a resolution to approve a Strategic Site Readiness Program grants to 11 economic development organizations located within Michigan's 10 prosperity regions. Josh, take it away, please.
All right, thank you, Mr. Messer. I am at this point making a request for grants to 11 economic development organizations across all 10 prosperity regions of the state under the Strategic Site Readiness Program. This is in total $25 million of a request, and that funding allocation to the 11 organizations was based on a proportional percentage of the population as outlined in the briefing memo you received as a part of the packet. This request will exhaust the funds allocated to the MSF in section 408(2) of the Public Act 194 of 2022 that was specifically set aside for regional and local economic development organizations for site readiness activities, including land control and acquisition, as well as that would be consistent with ensuring that we have a statewide inventory of strategic sites. These strategic sites are all sites that are smaller than the mega site definition, with the intent to ensure that we are seeing sites in all 10 regions across the state, across both peninsulas, that meet the needs of those communities and continue to allow us to ensure that we have strategic site readiness activities that meet the full need of the overall supply chain in the regions as outlined for these local and regional economic development organizations. Again, we're requesting this $25 million grant to be dispersed based on this proportional population allocation funding level. And with that, I will turn it back to you, Mr. Messer.
Thank you very much, Josh. Are there any questions for Josh about this particular agenda item? Hearing no questions, a motion is needed to conduct a roll call. I'm sorry.
Sorry, just real quick. I'm in support of this, but I'm wondering what kind of evaluation of these site readiness across the regions there might be put in place, both from due diligence to the taxpayers in the state, but also as a helpful mechanism to the 10 prosperity regions.
Thank you. So our team, our real estate team, will continue to partner with all of these regional economic development organizations through us establishing a real estate team at the MEDC, a chief real estate officer, as well as a vice president focused daily on supporting real estate activities in the state. That will allow us from a day-to-day level to continue to engage in partnership with these economic development organizations. We also will have a grant agreement in place with each of these organizations to ensure compliance with the grants. And we're working to make sure that there is proper technical assistance to make sure that these sites are developed in a way that is attractive for the needs of that community and to build out the state's overall economic growth strategy.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Dr. Affolter-Kane. Any other questions? Any other questions? Hearing none, a motion is needed to conduct a roll call vote. Do we have such a motion? We have go ahead, I'm sorry.
Corbin moves the motion.
We have a motion by Corbin, a second by Messer to approve the request. Caitlin, please conduct a roll call vote.
Dr. Fulter Kane,
Yes.
Director Corbin,
Yes.
Mr. Eklund,
Yes.
Treasurer Eubanks,
Yes.
Mr. Hutcherson. Mr. Hutcherson, are you still on the line?
Might have lost some. I know he had to fall off.
I see. Okay. Mr. Cap,
Yeah.
Mr. Messer,
Yes.
Mr. Myring,
Yes.
Mr. Richardson,
Yes.
Mr. Rothstein,
Yes.
Ms. Warner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. The motion passes and the recommendation is adopted. We'll now go back to our consent agenda. There are 11 items on the consent agenda today. Proposed meeting minutes, August 22nd, 2023 meeting minutes. The Veridea Group Brownfield Act 381 work plan. Next, Lofts on Lewis and MCRP amendment. Fourth, Exchange Building LLC-The Exchange and MCRP amendment. 5, Billerud and APRZ amendment. 6, Contractual Small Business Solutions Services FY24 funding allocations. 7, International Trade Centers JEC recommendations and FY24 funding allocations. 8th, Michigan Israel Business Accelerator new contract approval. 9, Business Marketing Lambert contract amendment. 10, FY 2024 Memorandum of Understanding MSF and MEDC. And 11, Lear Corporation Reauthorization of performance-based grant requests. Are there any questions regarding the consent agenda? If none, a motion is needed to conduct a roll call vote. Do we have such a motion?
Cap moves approval.
We have a motion by Cap and a second by Messer to approve the consent agenda. Caitlin, please conduct a roll call vote.
Dr. Fulter Kane,
Yes.
Director Corbin,
Yes.
Mr. Eklund,
Yes.
Treasurer Eubanks,
Yes.
Mr. Hutcherson.
I think he.
I'm sorry, Quentin. Mr. Cap,
Yeah.
Mr. Messer,
Yes.
Mr. Myring,
Yes.
Mr. Richardson,
Yes.
Mr. Rothstein,
Yes.
Ms. Warner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Caitlin. The motion passes. We will next go to develop attractive places, the Olympia Development of Michigan, Henry Street. We'll now welcome Julius Edwards, Director of Commercial Real Estate Investment, to present on a resolution to approve a Michigan Community Revitalization Program performance-based direct loan to Henry Street Renaissance LLC. Julius, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Messer, and thank you to the rest of the board members for allowing me the opportunity to present this project. Today, with me, joining me, I have Tyler Hardy from Olympia Development, as well as Stephen Strachan from Olympia Development, and Ed Potus from Senior. And also, lastly, I have David Howe from Detroit Economic Growth Corporation. So today before you, we are presenting a request for a $6,493,000 MCRP direct loan to support our overall $40 million development, which consists of 86 market rate residential units, which is part of an overall larger development of 170 total units of mixed income housing located just steps from Little Caesars Arena. MEDC staff is supportive of this project as it looks to preserve historic resources in the area, as well as bring mixed income housing to the area that is much needed and supported by the city of Detroit. So at this point in time, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. David Howell just to speak to the city of Detroit's commitment to this particular area.
Thank you, Julius. Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Good morning. My name is David Howell, and I am the Senior Director of Real Estate for the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation. And first, I'd like to thank Mr. Messer and the MSF board and the staff of the MEDC for the opportunity to speak at today's meeting concerning the Henry Street project developed by Olympia Development and Lear. On behalf of DEGC and the City of Detroit, I'd like to express our gratitude for the continued partnership with the MSF. Your support for mixed income housing options in the City of Detroit, particularly in the downtown submarket, allows Detroit residents to reside directly adjacent to employment centers, solving talent shortages for employers and fostering career advancement for Detroiters. Should this honorable body grant the request before you today, the City of Detroit, DEGC, and Olympia will be allowed to continue to advance one of the city's top priorities of aggressively addressing the need for high-quality, mixed-income housing. As you know, earlier this year, Olympia and another one of its partners, the related companies, announced District Detroit, a $1.5 billion mixed-use development project in downtown Detroit. The Downtown Development Authority agreed to make a $24 million low-interest loan from a newly created affordable housing fund to the developers to support bringing 139 affordable residential units to market. These units will be made available to Detroiters with incomes at 50% of the area median income. The Henry Street project, which is also located within District Detroit, continues that effort in bringing 84 affordable units to market, made available to households between 30 and 60% of area median income, as well as 86 market rate units. Furthermore, the development project brings 7 vacant historic buildings back online and creates construction and permanent jobs. The city supported the Henry Street project by committing $500,000 in home funds, $1.5 million in ARPA funds, as well as a 4% pilot. We remain steadfast in our belief that every citizen in Detroit should be able to afford to live wherever they choose. Your approval of the request today allows us to continue to make the City of Detroit the ideal place to live and work. Again, thank you for the opportunity to address you and for considering the CRP request.
Thank you, Mr. Howell. At this point in time, I'll hand it over to Tyler Hardy to speak on behalf of the development team about their commitment to the city, this area of the city.
Sure. Thanks, Julius. Tyler Hardy with Olympia Development of Michigan. I'm Director of Development here, leading the Henry Street project. Just want to thank the board for taking the time to hear us out on this project today. First and foremost, just really excited about the opportunity to bring this project to the city of Detroit with our partner at Lear. We have such a unique opportunity with the Henry Street project to revitalize, historically significant block into a mixed income residential project. And it's really our goal here to establish a sense of connectivity and community with this large, what we're calling campus style residential project, which, as you've heard, in its entirety spans across 7 buildings. What hasn't been mentioned is the community center, which we're really excited about. So the 7th building is a 9,000 square foot community hub that features a lounge space, fitness center, and a few other amenities that can be enjoyed by all of the tenants. So we really see this community hub as really the anchor to the project, as it provides a centralized place for people to come together organically. So in addition to those restored buildings, we'll have outdoor green space throughout the campus, new and enhanced site lighting, and then throughout the campus, and on-site parking available to tenants.
We heard during a lot of our engagement sessions the importance of parking for affordable tenants. So we have set aside free parking for residents of the affordable units. We've also set aside units as low as 30% AMI to ensure that existing tenants remain on site. So we're extremely excited about this, and we've been very intentional with our unit finishes in the project, and are pleased to provide high quality unit finishes in the market rate and the affordable buildings alike. And we just really believe this project will positively transform the Lower Cass Corridor community. We're committed to it and excited to keep the momentum rolling. So I promise, Julius, I keep it brief. So I'll stop there. Happy to answer any questions you might have about the project. And on behalf of ODM's and Air team, just want to thank the board for your consideration of the Henry Street project.
Thank you, Tyler. To summarize, we're seeking a $6,493,000 MCRP award to support 86 units of market rate housing in the Midtown area. So at this point in time, I'll open up to any questions that any board members may have.
Tyler,
Go ahead, please.
Do we think that this will spur other development in the area? Do we know of other development that may be coming because of this project?
We do. Oh, Julius, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, so we're really excited. I think this reactivating this block is critical, and it serves as a connector and also a gateway into the community. So not only will the tenants on site be able to enjoy this amenity, we think about the Cass Tech students that walk to and from school every day. Visitors coming in and out of Detroit. We see Cass as a major artery in and out of the city. And so it's bound to spur some additional development. We also actually have a project right across the street that's under construction. You may know Mariner's Ed, Scenair, actually working on that project as well. So definitely see it as a catalyst for future development.
I'm one of those old Cass Tech kids taking that walk past that or journey through that neighborhood. Way back in the day. It looks so much different now today. So
thank you. Sorry, Quentin, didn't mean to jump on you there.
No. You're fine, please. Any other questions? Excuse me.
From an income perspective, Leon Richardson, from an income perspective, what type of tenants are you trying to attract again?
So it will be mixed income. So 86 of the units will be market rate. We anticipate these to be working professionals, early career, mid-career professionals. And then, as it was mentioned, 84 of the units will be geared towards low-income tenants, so ranging from 30 to 60% AMI. So a portion of those will be some of the existing tenants, and then, of course, workforce housing.
Thank you.
Thank you, board members. And additional questions?
I'm sorry, maybe I missed this part, but I see that a couple of the buildings do have some existing tenants, and you just mentioned them. What's the plan for them and improvement on their units or incorporation of them or some other plan?
Sure, those units are included in the plan. We are working in very close coordination with the City of Detroit's Housing Revitalization Department, the United Community Housing Coalition, and the Detroit Housing Commission to create a temporary relocation plan that minimizes any disruption to existing tenants. And so a part of this process included creating a tenant retention plan that complies with any federal URA standards, and it's been approved by the City of Detroit.
I'm sorry.
So
I'm sorry.
I guess I just want to be clear that all of the units will be fully renovated, and all of the existing tenants will be able to move back into a newly renovated unit.
So how long do you anticipate these tenants being subjected to living in temporary housing?
So we have sequenced construction in a way that we only have to move just a few tenants off-site during renovations. The tenants are really excited. We've been in communication with each of the residents, so they are in the loop and understand what to expect. So that'll be through the construction period, roughly 12 to 14 months. And that's just a handful of tenants there. And then in the second building, they will be able to move directly into a newly renovated unit. So only one small group of tenants will have to move off-site during construction.
Tyler, one other question. When building on Richardson's question about the target, how many of the residents are families, and if there are families with kids, school-age kids, what it's mixed use, so what kind of, I mean, I think this is an exciting project, and so I'm wanting to know more about, with families and kids and being in the Cass corridor.
Yeah, so as far as existing today, just many singles, so no families. We anticipate, our target tenant, because of the restrictions to the unit sizing that we were able to configure with, the current existing historic structure. We don't anticipate many families on site, so that the units are comprised of mostly one bedroom and studio units.
Okay, that helps. Thanks.
Other questions? Thank you for those questions. Thank you for the responses. Are there other questions? If there are no questions, a motion is needed to conduct a roll call vote. Do we have such a motion?
Affolter Kane, so moves.
We have go ahead, I'm sorry.
Should Rothstein seconds?
Okay, we have a motion by Affolter Kane. We have a second by Rothstein to approve the loan request. Caitlin, please conduct a roll call vote.
Dr. Affolter Kane.
Yes.
Director Corbin.
Yes.
Mr. Eklund.
Yes.
Treasurer Eubanks.
Yes.
Mr. Cap.
Yeah.
Mr. Messer.
Yes.
Mr. Meyering.
Yes.
Mr. Richardson.
Yes.
Mr. Rothstein. Yes. Mr. Thalen.
Yes.
Ms. Warner.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Caitlin. The motion passes and the recommendation is adopted.
Thank you for your time, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Julius. Thank you to the development team. Next, we will move to the Community Development Block Grant Program 2023 Public Gathering Spaces Initiative Grants. We will have my colleague Paula Holtz, Managing Director for Regions 7 and 9 here at MEDC, to present on a resolution to award CDBG funds for the expansion and creation of public gathering spaces for 16 units of local government, as well as to provide administrative services to assist these communities with corresponding compliance and administrative requirements. Paula, please take it away.
Quentin, I feel like you just stole my thunder. I mean, really, appreciate that lead in. I am Paula Holtz, as Quentin mentioned, and I'm excited to be here this morning to bring forward a recommendation to award CDBG funding to 16 communities throughout the state in the amount of $20 million through the Public Gathering Space Initiative. We were able to open this, which was our second annual competitive funding round, the PGSI funding round, in this past February, open to eligible communities. In order to be eligible to apply, a community needed to be on the MEDC's list of low to moderate income community customer list, needed to provide a minimum 10% cash match, and also have a grant request between $750,000 to $2 million for their public space project. For this round, we received 25 eligible applications totaling over $30 million in requests. Our grant review committee collectively scored these applications based on pre-established criteria, and today we are recommending 16 projects for funding. My only regret this morning is that I don't have time to go into any details on these fantastic public space projects. I think they're really terrific, and I think you would too if we had the time. Some examples of the types of projects we're recommending for funding are parks, town squares, playgrounds, amphitheaters,
amphitheaters, waterfront projects, and much more. So really good stuff if you've got the time. Hope you read through more of your packet and get the chance to visit these fantastic spaces. So just to recap, we are recommending the authorization this morning of a total of $20 million in CDBG funding for 16 communities through this initiative, as well as up to $800,000 for administrative services for the program. And with that, I gladly take questions.
Thank you so much, Paula. Are there any questions for Paula? Any questions about this agenda item for your consideration? If there are no questions, a motion is needed to conduct a roll call vote. Do we have such a motion?
Moved by Thalen.
We have a motion by Thalen, a second by Richardson, I believe, to approve the funding request. Caitlin, please conduct a roll call vote.
Dr. Fulter Kane,
Yes.
Director Corbin. Director Corbin, are you still on the line? All right, Mr. Eklund,
Yes.
Treasurer Eubanks,
Yes.
Mr. Cap,
Yeah.
Mr. Messer,
Yes.
Mr. Myring,
Yes.
Mr. Richardson,
Yes.
Mr. Rothstein,
Yes.
Mr. Thalen,
Yes.
Ms. Warner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. The motion passes and the recommendation is adopted. Really grateful for Paul and the entire team's work on these important public gathering spaces.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will move to, if you will permit me, just to go out of order one more time, we have two votes for Proton Energy Systems, Inc., doing business as Nel Hydrogen USA. We will now welcome Sarah Bishop, Senior Business Development Project Manager, to present on a resolution to approve a Michigan Business Development Program grant and a 15-year, 100% state essential services assessment exemption. Sarah, please take it away.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. Today, I will be presenting on behalf of Nel Hydrogen US. With me on the call today, I have Håkan Faldal, the CEO of Nel, as well as Maureen Krause, President and CEO of the Detroit Regional Partnership. Nel Hydrogen is proposing to establish a new 507,000 square foot automated gigawatt electrolyzer manufacturing facility in Plymouth Charter Township. This project is expected to generate a total capital investment of over $400 million, as well as create 517 clean energy manufacturing jobs. Now I will turn it over to Håkan Faldal with the company to talk more about the project.
Thank you. My name is Håkan Faldal, and I am the Chief Executive Officer of Nel and its fully owned subsidiary Proton Energy Systems. Just some background on Nel. We are the world's oldest and one of the largest manufacturers of electrolyzers in the world. And an electrolyzer is a large machine that turns water and energy in the form or into hydrogen. There are just two input factors, water and electricity, and two output factors, hydrogen and oxygen. And just to be clear, the manufacturing of the equipment itself doesn't require large amounts of water or electricity. It's where you install the equipment where you need it. Electrolyzers are critically important for industrial applications where you cannot just use electricity to replace fossil fuels. For example, if you want to make methanol or ammonia for fertilizers, you need hydrogen molecules to make your end product, not only electrons. Hydrogen can also be used as a fuel in heavy-duty long-range trucks, buses, trains, and ships, and for long-term storage or long-distance transportation of energy. Today, Nel has more than 600 employees, approximately 250 of them in the United States, and manufacturing plants in Norway, Denmark, and Connecticut. We export our products all over the world. So far, we've sold to more than 80 countries and to several United States like Nebraska, California, Oklahoma, New York, Colorado, etc. Now we want to build the world's largest manufacturing plant for electrolyzers in Plymouth,
Charter Township, Wayne County, Michigan. We ran a nationwide selection process where we considered close to 150 potential sites all over the US and concluded that Michigan offers now the best option. Michigan will become our hub for large-scale production of super competitive electrolyzers, and these will be exported to other US states and to other countries internationally. All in all, we're talking about a total investment in the range of $400 to $500 million over the next few years and 400 to 500 new jobs. On top of this, we will, of course, develop local supply chains that will create additional jobs and work together with universities and local partners like General Motors to ensure that we can do more than that. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to talk about this project. Happy to take questions.
Thank you so much. At this time, I will turn it over to Maureen Krause to speak from a local perspective now.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Quentin, and a special thank you to Holcomb and the team at NEL. We are so grateful today to have this significant project before the MSF board for your consideration, and we hope for your approval. At the Detroit Regional Partnership, we have seen a rapid increase in global projects in the mobility space in the area of clean, sustainable energy. NEL is a global leader in enabling our economy to decarbonize and to fully leverage the potential of hydrogen. We will be proud to call them part of the Detroit region. I would just like to take a minute and thank those who are behind the scenes, but actually make these projects happen and are critical to the success of a project with the scale and complexity of NEL. First, Will Butler and Justin Robinson from the DRP team in direct and minute-by-minute partnership with Vlatko Tomic Bobis from the MEDC team, who we partner with every day to bring great jobs and investment to Michigan. To Dave Schreiber at Wayne County and Kurt Heiss in Plymouth Township, along with a host of other important partners. These people and these projects take a village, and I hope that we have shown NEL that we work collaboratively to help you make the best decision for your success. We look forward to helping NEL in their success with our strong engineering and experienced manufacturing talent. We encourage the MSF to approve this package before you as we continue to support NEL as they grow in the Detroit region and in the global epicenter of mobility. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. In summary, the company is requesting a $10 million MBDP performance-based grant and a 15-year 100% CESA exemption valued at $6.25 million, waiving the EDA and commencement requirements. We are happy to answer any questions at this time, and we thank you for your consideration.
Thank you so much for this presentation, and we appreciate the patience from the CEO. I think it's about 6 hours ahead of us there, so thank you for your indulging us. There are 2 votes. Board members, are there questions before we will be required to conduct 2 separate votes? One for the Business Development Program grant and the second for the 15-year 100% State Essential Services Assessment exemption. Any questions?
Falcon, can you speak a little bit about your partnership with GM and how you'll be working together and how they may be using your products?
Yeah, General Motors has worked on hydrogen fuel cells for a number of years, and a fuel cell is actually an electrolyzer run in the opposite direction. Hence, there are many similarities between what GM does and what NEL does. And we were happy when GM reached out to us and said, listen, if we make the best hydrogen vehicles on the planet, but you guys cannot make your equipment better and cheaper, we will sell no trucks, no vehicles running on hydrogen. We need you guys to be successful in order for us to sell more trucks and vehicles. So how about the partnership where we collaborate on making that happen?
That's why we signed a joint development agreement with General Motors, I think 12 to 18 months ago, where we share insights and knowledge. And we have full access to the GM team, and we have joint working groups, and the work has moved along really, really fast. And actually later today, I have a meeting with General Motors to give them an update on the work, but we're really benefiting from all the work that GM has put into fuel cells, and I'm trying to apply that on the electrolyzer side to make the equipment cheaper and more efficient.
Is the company cash flow positive today, or can you speak a little bit about the business economics on what it takes to be cash flow positive and kind of the financial outlook going forward?
We are not cash flow positive today. We have raised close to $1 billion in private money to fund our expansion, because this is a business where you need to invest upfront in technology, in building the organization, and in building manufacturing capacity. So all of this money has been deployed, or half of the money has been deployed, and we still have $400 million left so to finance what we do until we get cash flow positive. We expect also next year to be a year where we will be cash flow negative, and then in 25, we believe we can be cash flow positive based on an order backlog, which is increasing as a number of companies place large-scale orders for our equipment, for instance, in Oklahoma and Nebraska.
Can you talk a little bit about the safety requirements for hydrogen storage and the viability of that in transportation?
Yeah, so making the equipment itself doesn't really represent a big risk, and hydrogen also is safe when you handle it in the correct way, but you need to understand how to do it. In the same way that you don't smoke a cigarette when you pump gas, you have to be careful not to mix hydrogen and oxygen, because that can be explosive. But today there are safety standards that you need to adhere to. If you look at the tanks they use to store hydrogen on board vehicles, they perform crash tests showing that a car running on petrol or diesel might ignite and catch fire, whereas a vehicle running on hydrogen will not. So it doesn't represent a real safety concern if handled correctly, and definitely not on the manufacturing side, but more on the application of hydrogen. There you need to follow strict safety standards, and that's also why each and every state in the United States has a certain protocol that you need to follow in terms of complying with the safety standards that they think are needed to do this in a safe way.
Thank you.
I have a question. So the volatility of hydrogen systems is so severe that, this could create a hazard if not handled correctly, as you stated. So do you see this expanding in the passenger vehicle market or just large vehicles?
I think if you had asked me that question two or 3 years ago, I would say that hydrogen could also play a role in the passenger vehicle markets, and I think in some places it will. But I do see a better match between fuel cell vehicles running on hydrogen and heavy-duty long-range trucks. And so where you need to have the truck out of the road and you need high utilization, I think hydrogen has certain benefits that it will be hard to match with batteries. But I think on the light-duty side, like in the US, where you have a parking where you can charge your vehicle, it's hard to compete with battery electric vehicles at the moment. But I believe more in the heavy duty market.
Thank you.
Sarah, could you speak a little bit about the performance requirements for the grant to be achieved?
Yeah, so it'll be based on eligible expenses that they are spending at the new facility. So they will, numerous ways they could use it based on construction, or based on machinery and equipment costs, facility renovations, such as that type.
And then it'll be dispersed based on a percentage basis of that eligible expense.
Is there job requirements as well?
Yes, there is. The job requirements we discussed, the 517 jobs, they will be held to that.
Thank you.
Additional questions? Thank you for the questions, board members. Any additional questions? Hearing none, we will conduct our first vote to approve the Michigan Business Development Program grant request. A motion is needed to conduct a roll call vote. Do we have such a motion? Messer will move. Is there a second?
Warner seconds.
We have a second by Warner to approve the request. Caitlin, please conduct a roll call vote.
Dr. Fulter Kane,
Yes.
Mr. Eklund, Treasurer Eubanks. Oh, there you are. Thank you. Treasurer Eubanks,
Yes.
Mr. Cap,
Yeah.
Mr. Messer,
Yes.
Mr. Myring,
Yes.
Mr. Richardson,
Yes.
Mr. Rothstein,
Yes.
Mr. Thalen,
Yes.
Ms. Warner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kate.
Oh,
sorry?
Caitlin, it's Susan Corbin.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
still here and I'm a yes vote.
Okay. Susan, while I have you, were you on for the last vote?
I had to take a break and I came back on as you were doing roll call. So I was also a yes vote on the last vote.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Sorry, Quentin, go ahead.
Oh, no worries. The motion passes and the recommendation is adopted. The second vote is to approve the state essential services assessment exemption request. A motion is needed to conduct a roll call vote. Do we have such a motion? Messer will move. Do we have a second?
Warner seconds.
We have a second by Warner to approve the request. Caitlin, please conduct a roll call vote.
Dr. Fulter Kane,
Yes.
Director Corbin,
Yes.
Mr. Eklund,
Yes.
Treasurer Eubanks,
Yes.
Mr. Cap,
Yeah.
Mr. Messer,
Yes,
Mr. Myring,
Yes.
Mr. Richardson.
he had to drop, unfortunately.
But I'm here now. I have to go now, but yes.
Okay,
Okay. Mr. Rothstein,
Yes.
Mr. Thalen,
Yes.
Ms. Warner.
Yes.
Thank you.
thank you, Caitlin. The motion also passes and the recommendation is also adopted. Congratulations, we're very grateful. This was historic. It was the largest investment announced at this year's Select USA, and I'm glad that we were able to finalize everything. So thank you very much and hope to look forward to hearing about the progress.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir. Thank you. We will now, sorry to be toggling back and forth. We will go to Samsung SDI America, Inc. We will welcome Brittany Miser, my colleague, to present on a resolution to approve a Michigan Business Development Program grant for Samsung SDI America, Inc. Brittany, please take it away.
Thanks, Quentin. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brittany Miser. I am a project manager on the Economic Development and Incentives team. Joining me today, I have Joe Patel, General Counsel and Vice President of Legal and Public Affairs for Samsung, along with Michael Abdallah from Oakland County Economic Development. Samsung is a leading global manufacturer of lithium batteries. They broke ground on their North American headquarters in Auburn Hills in 2019. They have already significantly exceeded capacity at this facility and are currently in need of doubling their current footprint to meet increasing demand. So today we are presenting an exciting opportunity that will result in an additional $41 million of investment and 368 new well-paying jobs in the city of Auburn Hills. With that, I will turn it over to Joe Patel to further discuss this project. Joe?
Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Mr. Messer, and hello, board. Thank you for welcoming us to the meeting to share the news of this project. As Brittany said, we relocated our headquarters from Silicon Valley to Michigan in 2018, in part to take part in the XEV revolution that we had hoped would come to fruition. Thanks to the support of the MEDC, by the way, we launched our factory, and it's fair to say things are going well. In fact, they're going so well
that we desperately need to expand. The demand for the Jeeps that we're making in Toledo, Ohio, and right here in Michigan at the Jefferson North Assembly Plant has been more than expected. It's a good news for the green revolution. And our customers are asking us to expand our capabilities. We're going to put $41 million into Auburn Hills here at the facility to buy machines and hire new workers so that we can meet those demands. These are good jobs, most of them for not requiring a college degree, and the benefits are excellent. In fact, we pay for our employees' health care, and not just for our employees, but also their families. They pay 0 premiums. Why Michigan? We picked Michigan initially because we had good support from the government, and we were looking for a skilled, qualified workforce that could deliver quality products. It's no secret that quality is a key issue in the manufacture of EVs and batteries, and so we take that very seriously. Our experience has been terrific, and we want to keep a good thing going. Why Samsung? Well, the truth is that Samsung's been a good bet. Last time you gave us some support, we not only met the milestones, but we exceeded them, and we'll exceed them again. We hope that you'll find a good chance to keep a good thing going too. I'm the only native Michigander on our executive staff. Many of my colleagues are from South Korea, have relocated here to Southeast Michigan. Others are from other places. And my parents were in the auto industry. My father started at Chrysler in 1971. It's hard to believe the revolution that we're seeing. We're fighting and competing for workers here in Southeast Michigan. Thanks, by the way, to our local partners at Oakland County and in Auburn Hills who've offered to help recruit workers. I think, too, it's interesting to note that this project will have immediate impacts. We're not looking down the road 2025. We're going to be recruiting workers this year, and they're going to start work this year and next, hopefully with your help. Our factory is in an existing commercial park. There'll be no incremental impacts on the environment, and our factory is clean and safe. It is not the smoke-stacked factories, the dirty factories maybe that my dad remembers. We think it's a bright future for our company for sure. We know it's a bright future for our workers who will have expansion opportunities and a chance to expand in our growing industry. And we think it means a bright future for our state. I'm grateful, and on behalf of the CEO, we're very grateful for our partners at the MEDC and Oakland County and our neighbors in Auburn Hills for their support and help. And we hope that the board will look favorably on this application. We'd like your support. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Joe. Really quickly, I'm going to hand it over to Michael Abdallah for a brief comments on the county's perspective on this project. Michael?
Yes, thanks, Brittany. I'm sorry I can't get on camera right now. Something's wrong with my connection with that, so my apologies. But we've been actively involved with Samsung since the beginnings of this project and the last one as well. But they've been terrific corporate citizens, and I was fortunate enough to take a tour of the facility that Joe's talking about, and it is pretty amazing. Just the safety record they have there, the terrific clean environment, which the employees all seem very happy, and the whole thing for us is a real win for Auburn Hills, for Oakland County, for the state. So we are thrilled to be in support of Samsung SDI, and again, I know that we are happy that they continue to grow and have success here in Michigan and Oakland County. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Michael. With that being said, I am seeking approval for a Michigan Business Development Program grant of up to $5 million in support of Samsung SDI America's current expansion project in Auburn Hills. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Thank you so much, Brittany, Joe, Michael. Questions from the board? Questions from the board?
Joe, could you speak a little bit about your supplier ecosystem? Do you have a lot of suppliers in Michigan? Have you attracted some suppliers to locate to the state to work with you?
Yeah, our local footprint is growing, and of course it's growing in the Midwest, in part because, as you probably know, our company is also expanding to make cells in the Midwest.
So we expect we'll have many suppliers coming to Indiana, Ohio, Michigan as we expand our opportunities. We do buy quite a bit from local Michigan suppliers. The equipment itself is coming from overseas because there aren't any suppliers currently that can make the battery equipment. But a lot of the smaller parts are bought locally from local companies in Michigan and elsewhere.
Out of curiosity, do you do recycling of the lithium batteries at your facilities at their end life?
We do not do recycling of batteries here. We have vendors that help with recycling, but we are pursuing partnerships going forward to expand our recycling ability, in part because our cell factory in Kokomo will have recycling requirements as part of the IRA. So the recycling picture is actually very bright, and it's going to create a whole new industry actually in the United States to help deal with these the minerals and the battery recycling. So there's a zero impact. Our company's committed to going completely green, have a zero carbon footprint in the next 15 years.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, we need a motion to conduct a roll call vote. Do we have such a motion? Messer will move. Do we have a second?
Corbin supports. Kane will second.
I think I heard Director Corbin seconding to approve the request. Caitlin, please conduct a roll call vote.
Dr. Fulter Kane. Yes. Director Corbin.
Yes.
Mr. Eklund.
Yes.
Treasurer Eubanks.
Yes.
Mr. Cap.
Yeah.
Mr. Messer.
Yes.
Mr. Meyering.
Yes.
Mr. Rothstein.
Yes.
Mr. Thalen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Kamsahamnida.
Caitlin. Thank you. The motion passes and the recommendation is adopted. Congratulations. We're grateful to have earned this investment and really look forward to the future. We have the final vote of the day is administrative. It's the Michigan Strategic Fund bylaws. We will vote to approve the amended Michigan Strategic Fund bylaws that were shared previously and discussed. If there are no questions, please, we need a motion to conduct a roll call vote. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we need a motion to conduct a roll call vote. Do we have such a motion?
Rothstein?
Rothstein moves. Do we have a second? Messer will second to approve the request. Caitlin, please conduct a roll call vote.
Dr. Fulter Kane.
Yes.
Director Corbin.
Yes.
Mr. Eklund.
Yes.
Treasurer Eubanks.
Yes.
Mr. Cap.
Yeah.
Mr. Messer.
Yes.
Mr. Meyering.
Yes.
Mr. Rothstein.
Yes.
Mr. Thalen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. The motion passes and the recommendation is adopted. For our last item of business, the monthly delegated authority report was included in the board's packet. Are there any questions regarding the report? We have reached the end of the agenda. Do the board members have any other items of business to discuss? Hearing none, our meeting is, we stand adjourned at 12:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Stay safe and well.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Recording stopped.